Okay, welcome guys. In last chapter, we understood how to use git ignore file and ignore the files which you will never going to modify. Okay. Also, we understood what is git flow and we did some practice as well. In this chapter, we are going to understand the concept of git CI and CD. Okay, GitLab's CI and CD. Let's get started with this one. Okay, so I'm going to erase this and we'll start from the scratch. Okay, now understand that here let me basically draw 3 levels. Okay, so that you should be able to understand that. Okay, and next is going to be, let's say, this one, and it's going to be at the bottom. So what's going to happen is this. Okay, so this, assume that this is your website host, or this is your web server. Now there is a possibility that you will have a local host environment. So okay, let me just think how to explain this. Okay, and on this web server, let's say your website host name or your website name, assume this is example.com, and here you have basically 3 folders. So one folder is, let's say, your root, which is www, or public_html. It can be anything. And let's say under it, it has 2 more folders. The one is develop and other is release. Or let's say, I think instead of making it develop, let's make it, or yes, let's make it develop. So yes, so let's say this is the first folder on your root. What is the root is basically when you open any website and the page that you see, those are generally hosted on the root folder. So for example, if you type localhost, then the file that you then the page you see is basically the index, the root directory is htdocs, right? When you open a website in a cpanel, the root directory is generally www or public underscore HTML, right? So when we say root folder, that means the folder uh, containing the file which will open when we try to access that specific location. Okay, that means that, let's say example.com is your website, and if you type example.com, the file which is going to be visible, or the HTML file or PHP file, whatever the file that will be served, uh, that folder is going to be called as a root folder. Okay, in that root folder we are creating these folders. One is develop, other is release, and the next is going to be, is basically, again, this is your root. So under this root you have two more folders. So this root folder will basically have all the root files, the production code. Develop folder will have the code which you are currently developing, and release folder is going to have the code which is going to be released. All right, now this is your let's say this is going to be your Git server or Git repositories. And of course, as we understand in the last chapters, that Git flow is, if we enable the Git flow, it is going to create 5 branches. The one is your master branch, the other is develop branch, the next is feature branch, and the other one is release branch. So these are the 4 branches that we will deal, right? Now understand what happens when you create a repository. You create a master branch, right? And then you clone it into your system. Okay, or let's say we call it as PC. When you clone it, you have master branch. Then what you do, you enable Git flow. It creates a develop branch. All right, now what happens, and then you create basically your feature branch. Yes, and now what happens, when you finish your feature, it will merge into develop. Okay, and then what will happen, and there is a possibility that in the meantime you will also push this code into this. So when you push the code, of course this will again create a develop feature, and that will develop branch, and then it will also create a feature branch. When you merge and push, of course this is also going to be on the repository too. So develop. But what you want, using CI and CD, this is continuous integration and continuous deployment. So what happens when you make these push, if you enabled CI and CD, what it does, it deploy those changes into your respective folder. Okay, so let's say you made some changes in the files. Those files will be uploaded on your Git repository, as well as it will be uploaded on your web server. Okay, so similarly, when you basically create a release, okay, that is all, obviously it's going to be from develop branch, and then you make some changes, and then when you finish that branch, what happens, it will go into develop. Yes, and at the same time it will merge into master. And let's say when you create this repository and you make these changes and you push it to your remote repository, which will also create a branch here. So in that case, what you want, that this code should be deployed in release. So what happens, what we are trying to achieve here is this, that whenever a feature is finished and let's say, okay, let me give you an understanding what we are trying to achieve, the objective. When you clone a repository and you move into develop and you start creating features, all that code will be visible on your local host. So which means the code is visible to you only, right? But there is a good possibility your manager, your tester, or somebody else will not come to your system and try and see that what changes, what kind of progress you have made. You always need to provide them a URL where they can see, okay, what is the progress. Yes. So when you merge your feature into develop, that's going to be pushed on the remote repository, and that if your CI and CD is enabled, that will the same code is going to be deployed on the develop branch. So let's say if we have a develop folder, that means this code will be visible example.com/develop. Yes. Similarly, when we say, when we make a release, and okay, understand what is the difference between release and develop. When you create a feature here, you develop it on your machine, and when it is finished, you basically finish the feature which merges this code into develop branch. Develop branch is something which is actively, where the active merging of your code is happening, which can be basically there is a possibility that there are so many conflicts, and there is, so many features are being there. If there are so many developers are working on it, there are a lot of there is a lot of merging happening on the develop branch. Okay, so there is a lot of activity going on this specific branch. Okay, when we create a release branch, so let's say in a project you need to develop login and register. So you create two features, maybe two developers create two features and they start developing on their own machine, and both of them push their code to develop, and then if there is any conflict, that will be resolved in the develop branch. And let's say now we see that login and register is the feature which is ready to release. Then we create a release branch, okay, and try to see that this code is actually properly running or not running. So you create release branch, and when you push it to your remote repository, this is going to be uploaded in the release folder automatically through CD and CI. So develop is something which is actively on which actively developers are working. Release is more kind of a mature code which is going to be tested by the testers, and if it works perfectly fine, then we will finish this release. And when we finish the release, this code will be merged into master and develop. And when you merge into master and when you push it to the remote repository, this code will automatically be deployed on your production server. Okay, so this way everything is happening automatically without providing any FTP details to any of your developer. Okay, and you see that we are successfully able to maintain 3 different environments by which we can make sure that all the releases are properly being tested, developed, and you are not only developing on your own machine, but you are deploying it to the development environment where other people can see it, that what's going on. Okay, so this is the whole purpose of CI and CD, that the code deployment becomes integrated, it's continuously integrated, and it continuously get deployed to the respective environment. Okay, now these develop environment or release environment, they can be on different server, it doesn't matter. Okay, so this is all we are trying to do with CI and CD. All right, now let me understand, this is 16 minutes. All right, we can still go on. So how do we do it is, this was our repository. Okay, and in this repository you can go to settings, CI and CD. Okay, here you can enter certain variables. Variables are here. Okay, so I'm going to enter 2 variables here, which is going to be FTP username and FTP password. Okay, so I've created 2 variable names. One is FTP username and FTP password. I've entered the value and clicked on saved. So these values are saved in this specific Git Kraken repository. You can add these details into groups as well, and all the projects in the group will have the access to these variables. Now what we are going to do is, this was our repository was, sorry, our project was cloned in this specific folder. I'm going to add one file which is going to be GitLab GitLab CI.yl. So okay, I think I have written it wrongly here. It's going to be CI. Okay, so the name of the file is GitLab CI.yml. Let's open it and try to understand that what kind of content it is going to have and how it functions. So you see that there are stages that I have defined. These are the stages of my application that it will go through. The one is develop, the other is release, and the master. Okay, if we open on Git Kraken, okay, we have a shortcut here. So these are the stages. You can name it anything that you want, and then what we are doing, that we are creating a script that will basically tell GitLab what to do. Okay, so what we are doing here, deploy, develop, which means this stage we are giving a name here, and then what stage we want to deploy is this one, and then the variable name, the variables that we are going to use is 2. We are creating 2 variables. One is the upload path and upload URL. This is just the upload path is important because this is where the actual files are going to be deployed. You see in case of cpanel based hosting, public underscore HTML is the root folder, and so whenever I make any commit, the files will be uploaded in public underscore HTML git kraken develop. Okay, and what will be the URL where I will be able to access is basically this, because we remove the public.html, because if we access this, it's going to be the files at this particular location. Yes, so this is where we will be able to access it. Now here is the script. So these are the variables, and then in script I am echoing these variables which will be available in Git Labs console, CI console. I will show you what it actually does. So let me see where I'm at this point. I'm in develop branch. That's perfectly fine, and I have added a CI file. Okay, so first time when you are first time initializing, means first time uploading the files, this is the command which you need to enable. That means git ftp init. So here you can see that I am using two more variables, which is ftp username and ftp password and ftp upload path. So this upload path is coming from here. These username password is actually coming from here, username and password. Okay, so these credentials will be used to access FTP and initialize this deployment on the path of this. Okay, so if I try to open this path, you will see that it is redirecting me that it is the file not found. Okay, and I have already set up this. Now where I go, I will go into CI and CD and then jobs, and you see that there are few jobs which are either skipped or failed. That's nothing to worry about. So I'm going to stage it, and then I'm going to say, let's say CI init, save. So this is the file which is going to be decoded, or which is going to instruct GitLab to perform certain action. And what action it will perform is this. Okay, so I think there is one more important thing which I did not explain here, that after this script, this is the action that will be performed, and this is the action where it will be performed, and it will be performed only when a commit is done in develop branch. So only in this specific branch. If I commit in any other branch, nothing will happen. Okay, so at the moment I am basically creating making changes in develop. Okay, at the moment you see that this icon is there, that means the files is available only locally, it's not being uploaded. So now I'm going to push it, which will upload the file on the GitLab. So pushed it, and now if I refresh here, you'll see that there is one job which ran, and if you go here, click on this, it will say that it initialized this. You must be able to see these details, that what it actually did. So the job is succeeded and git CI is initialized. Okay, now let's say if I make changes to file A, so I'm going to say, let's say line 1, save, and I see that this change is done. If I save it, and let's say line 1 is added, and go here, submit, and now if I again go to jobs, I'll see that this is passed, but if I refresh here, I don't see anything. Yes, and this is because I need to enable git push, and I need to disable this one because this command needs to be run only one time. Okay, here I'm basically enabling push, which means whenever I'm going to push any changes, those changes will be uploaded to the server. So I choose this one and I made, let's say, CI push is enabled, and we go here, then we go into jobs, and we say it, we see that it's failed. Okay, so it says that git initialize has never been done. That may be because when I made any changes to this, when I did not save it. You see here, this circle means I have not saved this file, so I'm going to save it now, and let's initialize it again. CI init save push, and if I go here, I see that it's running, and what it's doing, it's basically uploading all these files. Yes, and it's succeeded. So if I refresh here, I should be able to see all these files. Perfect. So this is what has happened when I say git init. Now you need to understand one thing here is this, that there are two other important folders which we need, especially the vendor folder, which we need to run the code. So you need to upload this separately via FTP, because CI will upload only those files which you will track here. It will not upload any other file which is ignored in your it will not upload any files or folders which are ignored in git ignore file. There are other methods if you want to enable that, but I would not recommend it, because the best way is basically you just need to access your FTP and upload these folders, because you don't need to do it so often, you just need to do it once. Okay, now if I see the content of file A, I see that line 1 is over there. Okay, now I'm going to do one more thing, is I'm going to disable this and enable push, and here I'm going to add line 2, and if you see here, this is detecting there are two files which are changed, which is correct. And let's say line 2 edit to a.txt, submit, save. We go again to jobs, I click here, it is passed, and you see that there are two files uploaded on the server. Perfect. So if I refresh here and go on this, I will be able to see line number 2. You see what has happened? Yes, perfect. Now let's say I'm going to create a feature which is going to be, let's say, adding file E and start. I'm going to push it. Yes, so I created a feature, and if I go here, actually there is no, you see that it is being performed on this was on develop stage, and there is no new CI that has run at the moment. And you will look at the branches, you will be able to see that the file E is there. And why this has not happened? Because we have instructed that this script will run only when we commit into develop. Yes, so let's add our file e, and let's add line 1. Okay, and I'm going to add it, e file, edit, and push it. Again, there will be no jobs that will run. Yes, see, 2 minutes ago there is no still. Okay, now I'm going to finish this feature. So when we will finish it, what will happen? The code of this feature branch will be merged into develop. Yes, you see, now we are checked out to develop, and of course the code is available locally. I'm going to push it. Now what will happen? There should be a new job. So it was 1570. If I refresh it, you see this. If I click here, you should be able to see that file this has been uploaded. If I look at the interface, file E is there with the content line number 1. Yes, perfect. Now let's say I've completed all these. I was working on all these features, and these features are perfectly fine. Now I'm going to make a release. So when I'm going to make a release, you see that when I create a feature, it actually create new branches with the name of the feature. While develop is a single branch, but in feature there are multiple branches. Yes, and because this is a single branch, when I submit any code, and because I have instructed that whenever it is being committed, it should always upload in this particular folder. But you see that if I apply the same code here, it will not work because these branch name is different. Here we have to give the branch name. Okay, so if you look at the script for the release, what is it? That it will upload the release code on this specific path, and if I try to access these specific path, you see that this is not found, and here it is the similar code. Of course, first time we are going to initialize, but this is the important part. What this means, that any branch, if anything committed in a branch which has release, will be uploaded to these folder. Yes, of course, you will be creating multiple releases which will have multiple branch names, but all the code will be deployed in the same release environment. Okay, so this is why you need to use this specific code. So at the moment, I think I changed something. No, I did not. Okay, maybe. Anyways, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to basically create a release, and let's say this is going to be version 1.0.1. okay, you can always start from, let's say, 0 and then 1, and then start a release. When you start a release, what it did, it basically created a branch 0.1.1, and you click on save. Instead of doing this, I think the better releases is going to be, I'm going to delete this branch. Let's say delete this branch. Okay, I need to move to develop first, and then I can delete this branch. What is going to be a better release name is going to be release. Let's say it's going to be 0.1.1, and you should give some kind of text which explains that what this version is all about. Let's say in our case, file A to file E. In your case, it may be maybe releasing login register, contact us form, or anything. Start, and you see it's locally created. If I push it here, and you see what will happen. Okay, so again, what I did, I basically modified the content, but I did not save it. So I'm going to save it now. What is going to happen here? It will detect that CI is edited. Okay, so CI init for release. If you see that this content was changes, but it was not saved, and if I look at the jobs, it was okay. Here it was, I guess the latest one is 5171. If I go here, 5172. Okay, and then save, sorry, upload. And if I look at the CI, there is new CI which failed. No problem. Let's see what is the problem. It says that it is existing, which means if it is already existing, then what you can do, that means that the CI init has already been run. No problem, that's perfectly fine. Just to make sure that you indexed all the file, or all the file which are already uploaded, you can actually enable GitLab git ftp CI. So when git ftp ketchup, sorry, apologies, there was so much misunderstanding. Anyways, so what I was trying to explain, assume that you have a Laravel project and there is a vendor file, which of course you need to upload it to the server. Now if you need to even if you enable the CI, it will only upload the files which you modified, but it will never upload vendor folder. Or let's say there is a possibility you want to deploy the entire code using FTP, and then instead of git initialize, because git init will this FTP git FTP init will only work when your folder is empty. But what you did, you already uploaded some of the files, and you of course don't want to run git FTP init. So what you can run is git ftp ketchup. So what it will do, it will create the index of the files which is already uploaded, and next time when you enable the git push, it will only upload the files which are getting changed. So this is what I'm going to do. CI ketchup and upload. Now if you go in jobs, okay, let's see why it's happening. Could not upload the files. Git FTP is strange. Let me see what is there. This folder does not exist, which makes sense. And here let me just confirm one more time. Okay, so my username password was actually the variables that I have used is FTP user, and here you see that there is the variables are different, right? So I need to change these variables. That was the mistake, I guess. Okay, so instead of ketchup, again, because it was never initialized, it was a misinformation, so again we are going to git init and this, we go into jobs and we see it is passed, and what it did, again it uploaded all the files. If you refresh here, you will be able to see the file from A to E, right? Now just like what we did, okay, yes, I need to explain you that if we do the multiple releases, it will always upload in this folder. Okay, anyways, let's at this moment git init is done, and in future changes git push will be used. So CI push is enabled now, CI push, and this perfectly fine. Now master is something which is, let's say in our case the master URL is going to be this one, and here is the code path. If I access this path right now, you will see that there are two folders. One is develop and the other is release, which are the subfolders here. It can be anything. Mostly it's going to be your website domain name where you actually want to deploy your application. Okay, so in this case also, let's say we are deploying here an FTP, this is all perfectly fine, and I'm going to enable this one as well. So now CI for master branch is enabled. Okay, here you see that it is for the master, which is basically our production environment, and you see that this script will run only when the code is pushed in the master branch. All right, let's CI and CI for master, save, upload. At this point nothing will happen. Why? Because we have committed in the release branch. So you see one job which is of course updated this specific file, but at the same time if I refresh this, there is no other files. Now I'm going to finish this release and you see what is going to happen. So let's say here I'm going to add one more line into E, which is going to be line 2, and let's say line 2 is added to e.txt. Save, upload. Of course this is going to be uploaded in the release file. If you open this one, you'll be able to see this. So we have updated the E file, but if you look at the develop branch, which is here, I guess, if I open it, here you'll see only line 1. So when I finish this branch, what is going to happen? This script will run because we are going to push the code into this specific branch. And at the same time, what is going to happen when we finish a release, it's going to be merged into master as well as in develop. So the end result is going to be this, that here in this specific folder we will have all the files which are in release directory. Yes, and develop branch is going to should be updated. This file should have line 2. Okay, now let's finish this specific branch and we tag it as 2.10.0.1. Finish. You see we are automatically checked out to master, and of course it's not being pushed so far. And if you look at the CI, there is no master job has been run. And if you look at this root folder, you are not able to see any file because we have not pushed it. Now we are going to push it. So it is uploaded on the remote. You'll see a job has been run. Yes, on master. If I open it, you will be able to see that all these files has been uploaded. Now if you refresh this, you see that if all these files have been uploaded, if I click on E, it has line number 1 and line number 2. Now at the same time, this should also be updated. If I click here, you see only line number 1. Why? Because develop is locally updated. It's not pushed to the master repository. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click again on master and push it. When I push it, of course, a job will run here and it will upload these two files, because these are the two files which are updated. Now if you look at this particular file, it has line number 1 and line number 2. I hope you understood this entire circle of okay, so let me explain it here. You have basically a master branch, then you create a develop branch, then you create a feature branch, you make different commits, and then you basically finish it into develop. Then of course this is updated here, and then again you create a new feature and then commit, develop, then you make a release, you test it, and then you again finish. When you finish, the code is going to be into develop, and the same code is going to be released on master, which is our production version. Okay, this is how the entire cycle works. Simple, it should be very clear to you. Okay, I think and the same cycle again. Now again you want to basically develop a new feature, you basically check out to develop, and then again start create a new feature, again you develop those features, then finish those features, create a release, finish the release, that will merge into develop and master. I hope this circle is complete. I guess we have completed all our topics, and we have also done practically, so both of these chapter is completed here. I hope you understood all of it. Feel free to ask me questions, comments, if something that you did not understood. Just one simple thing is, the CI that I have explained is doing only one specific thing, which is basically uploading your file to the web server, but this CI and CD can do lot other things. It can create your you can create a test environment, you can compile the code. There is a lot of things that you can do, but this is the basic understanding of the CI and CD and GitFlow, and how you can actually create a really efficient environment to develop web applications and deploy it at the same time. Thank you so much for this, for watching and go through this entire course. Thank you.